So here electrometers and transimpedance amplifiers are improved versions to improve the input impedance and output impedance factors. Now what exactly these electrometers are? The thermocouple and all, they give us the sensed parameter in terms of EMF. Whereas there are some sensors whose outputs are currents, or rather we sense the currents, not the voltages. All our op-amp devices which are used for signal conditioning are all voltage amplifiers. Whereas whenever you sense the current is not amplified here. So we have to take help of current to voltage converters or these transimpedance amplifiers. So to sense low level currents or low value currents and condition those low value current signals, we use electrometers. So which are those applications which give us current? Here you can see signals coming from current sources or from high output impedance voltage sources. Now there are some sensors whose output impedances are very, very high. Under such cases, more voltage gets dropped across the high output impedance, but current which is coming out is very, very low. There are few more examples where semiconductor junction based nuclear radiation detectors, where the nuclear radiation is detected using semiconductor junctions. There also the current which is coming out is very low. Example, CT scanners. Now all the photovoltaic cells or photoelectric cells whose outputs are again low value currents. Similarly, the photomultiplier tubes where the photon number is more when they multiply, but the current which is produced out of them is very, very low. So they give high voltages, but the currents are very, very low. So these are the examples where we need to measure the currents. We need to sense the currents. Similarly, the piezoelectric sensors, where we are making use of the AC. Either mechanical vibrations are given so that the AC currents are generated. So these AC cannot be again very easily amplified by these regular instrumentation amplifiers. So under these circumstances, we go ahead with electrometers. Now what are these electrometers? Electrometers are basically the measuring systems whose input impedance is so large that it is in all these days we have heard about mega ohms of input impedance. Here the input impedance is as high as in terms of T. What is this T? What is this T stands for? What is this PA, small p stands for? It is pico amplifier, pico amps. Similarly, what is capital T? Anybody? Are you all there? See, this is tera ohms. Tera ohms is 10 to the power of 12 ohms. So this is as high as T ohms, and the output and input current lower than 1 picoamperes also can be sensed. So these are the meters whose input impedances are as high as of this order, and input current lower than 1 picoampere also can be sensed. Now, what exactly is the meaning of this? If the input impedance is very, very high, the current definitely will not flow through them. Because of this, when the current is not flowing through, whatever the input impedance is observed from the input end, if you imagine this as a two-port network, then what input impedance you observe from the input end, if it is very, very high, then this current, the lower value of the current naturally takes another path which is having lesser resistance than this. So it can flow through the other path. Take for example your transistor CE configuration amplifier, where the input impedance is of the order of say 10 kilo ohm or so. It is in the order of kilo ohms. Now, when this is of the order of kilo ohms, naturally the entire current flows in the form of IB and then gets amplified as IC. So your IC by IB ratio, that is the current gain ratio, is high there, the beta. The same thing is followed here also. By maintaining very high input impedance, so smaller currents can be made to flow into the device through other paths. By this, you can measure very low as picoamperes of current. Now, there are some electrometers or the instruments associated with electrometer with hundreds of tera ohms. And this is angstrom ampere, so 10 to the power of minus 8. So these are the electrometers which provide very, very high input impedance such that low values of currents can be measured or they can be made to flow into the device. Now here, see the figures A and B, where the electrometer helps in measuring this currents through this kind of a circuit configuration. Now slightly using the same principle, the transimpedance amplifiers are built. Now what exactly these transimpedance amplifiers are? So transimpedance means here at the input side, instead of having pure resistance, what is done is some capacitors are connected or even the input capacitors are made use such that the instead of only resistors, the impedance is taken help of. By doing this, we can make use of AC measurements easier, or even the piezoelectric sensors can be very easily connected and all the AC vibrations or AC signals can be amplified very easily. So small currents can be measured with an electrometer amplifier by two different methods. One, by directly measuring the drop in voltage across high value resistor. That is by making input impedance very, very high. You can make the current flow through the other path and measure the voltage across it. Or by current to voltage conversion based on transimpedance amplifier. First, understand the concept of this transimpedance amplifier. Here, instead of simple pure resistance, an impedance is connected by making use of proper value capacitance. By this, you can charge this capacitor using this current, and these charges now they get converted to voltage. So this is how current to voltage conversion is possible with the help of op-amp circuits. So methods for measuring small currents is one thing, detecting the drop in voltage across a resistor. Make this current flow through this resistor and measure the drop across this. That voltage you can connect it to the op-amp or any amplifier circuit and amplify that in terms of voltage. So this is basically measuring the drop. Another way is by making this current flow through this path and charge this capacitor. And once this capacitor is charged, measure the voltage across it. That voltage is made to drop across this inverting or non-inverting terminal as a difference amplifier. Then amplify that signal. So that is converting current to voltage. So by any of these mechanisms, you can measure small values of currents using either electrometer or transimpedance amplifiers. In both the cases, you can see here the input impedance is made not purely resistive, it is impedance. So whatever impedance you see from the input side, it is in this case R parallel CP. Here even your ZS, that is the source impedance, is considering the impedance of the source, the resistance RS plus if it is AC, the inductive or capacitive part, that comes in parallel with this R. So like this, the total impedance is no longer a pure resistance, it is impedance. It is dependent on these two parallel combinations. Now what happens here? How exactly the analysis of this is? So here you can see there are two circuits. Slight variation is there in these circuits. This is in the open loop mode. This is a feedback connected. By connecting the feedback, you are improving the input impedance and also the CMRR plus the difference gain is getting improved. So this helps in the measurement over wide range of frequencies. Whereas here it is limited. The open loop mode is always a limiting factor. But in this case, in the second one, here it is more useful over wide range of frequencies, and also the CMRR is also good over wide range of frequencies. Now, what is the analysis of that? If you write the transfer function for output voltage to input current, IS is the source current and VO is the output voltage, then Z divided by 1 plus AD into this combination. Now, what is this combination? ZS is the source impedance and ZD is the parallel combination of this. ZD is basically the device input impedance. ZD stands for the device input impedance. Now, device input impedance is parallel combination of whatever you have connected here. So this R and CP, they come in parallel. So this is going to give me ZD. And also, source impedance has to be considered for all the calculations. You cannot ignore the source impedance. So by considering all of them, you get this ZD. So ZS parallel ZD. So here ZS parallel the CP and this combination, this input impedance, whatever is here. That gives me the device input impedance. Now we all know in feedback amplifiers, whatever is the open loop impedance, that gets divided by 1 plus AD into this factor. Now what is this AD? AD is the difference gain of the amplifier and beta is the feedback factor. Now this beta depends upon all the impedances which you have connected using this Z, CP and different resistor networks. So here you can see this is dependent on ZS, CP, R and C. All these values are included in your beta factor calculation. So this is basically the feedback factor where this impedance R parallel C and also the CP ZS. So usually if you have R1 as the input impedance, R2 as the feedback resistance, then your feedback factor is RS if it is source resistance, then the feedback factor is usually R1 divided by RS plus R1 plus R2. usually we ignore this RS. So under such cases, it is simply R1 divided by R1 plus R2. That is the feedback factor, where input resistance divided by the total resistance in the network, in the output path. Similarly, here your feedback factor is also dependent on the overall impedance Z and the parallel combination of the source impedance and the device impedance. So this gives me the feedback factor. Now your overall impedance, that is trans impedance, is nothing but output voltage divided by the input current gives me the trans impedance. This in your transistors also you might have come across. The forward impedance or the forward path, forward gain. This gives me trans impedance. If I reverse this, say output current divided by the input voltage gives me trans admittance from the reverse side, from the input to output. So this is forward path where output voltage divided by the input current is taken. So this gives me trans impedance. And this trans impedance, it varies with the frequency. If the amplifier input and the frequency whatever is coming is FA, then the signal frequency is F, then the variation is like this. That's that T, that is the trans impedance, goes on changing with the gain AD, because this AD is dependent on frequency. The difference gain or the common mode rejection ratio, all these parameters are dependent on the signal frequency. Signal frequency here is the frequency of the sensed signal from the sensor. So the amplifier designed for certain frequency, and what is the frequency of the sensor? If there is a change in those frequencies, if the signal frequency or the sensor frequency is very much higher than the FA, then this equation holds good. So the trans impedance, if capacitors are not connected or if the capacitance effects are minimum, that can happen only at low frequencies. Because at low frequencies, the trans impedance becomes very, very negligent. So entire input impedance becomes resistive. And as the frequency increases, these trans impedance also goes on increasing. That's why all these are frequency dependent. And if you want to make them independent of frequency, that is for DC measurements, where your sensor signals are DC, you know very well. Under such cases, slight modifications are made with these, so that the capacitive effect or the junction capacitor effects are nullified by connecting proper capacitive network and nullify them. And the impedance can be made purely resistive, so that entire system becomes faster in that case. If it is made purely resistive, the system becomes faster. If you have capacitive elements and if you are measuring AC signals, especially if you are connecting piezoelectric crystal, then there has to be some impedance and the capacitors have to be used. So whenever you are making them purely resistive, that is for DC measurements, the conditioning for DC measurements, instead of capacitors, here you connect the resistive T networks to get large trans impedances. Here T networks are used. You can see here, instead of a simple R1, R2, here a T resistive network is used. And this provides higher impedance.